you're not going to be able to make that play. I mean, you have to know the other team is spawning up. Like, the one main spot that people go to sit to watch middle of the map is tank. You're not going to be able to cross there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the scariest thing to think about from the offensive side of 100 Thieves, you've actually only had two throws? 3? Like the entire game?
Yeah.
I think it missed 2 out of 3. I could be wrong. They might have only had 2, but the point is they don't have any opportunities, and now they're getting pushed outside again. Johnny might come up big on defense here if he can pick up another. The toss still got off. It is going to miss. Go to the back. Royalty's going to be able to play with it. They have enough time to technically come back, but the issue for me is you'd have to have as many offensive opportunities in the final 90 seconds as you have had the entire game. And I just don't see that happening with the way they're playing right now. And the last person alive is going to be Johnny, trying to play a little bit of defense here. Nameless not picking up the drone, just trying to go for kills. It's going to pay off as they actually spawned out, trying to push now and fight for mid-map.
This series is going to Game 5.
Yeah.
This series is 100% going to Game 5.
They could win a CTF, right?
This series is 100% going Game 5. It's just meant to be. Ricky puts in a 1-point throw. It's going to be 7-1 in favor of Complexity, and the struggles for 100 Thieves and Uplink still continue. And it's kind of upsetting because I feel like this team has so much potential. If they were able to win these games 3 and 4, like, they're very good at hardpoint, very good at S&D. Like, it's just 2 big glaring weaknesses really holding this team back.
And this is just another dud. I mean, when you saw the tweet yesterday, it showed the score differential, something in the neighborhood of, like, they've had 60 points scored against them in Uplink, and they've scored 25. There's somewhere in that ballpark. This doesn't help. 7-1, you had 0 offense. There was not even like even a point that was really, I guess, a scare for Complexity. There was never a really good opportunity for them to even get points on the board. Yeah, this one's done. And now the CTF, they've looked a bit better in CTF.
I mean, of course they're going to look a little bit better in CTF. I mean, the score's always
get it through, yeah!
Example is going to get a 2-point play there at the end.
That's all they needed, man.
Doesn't really affect anything with the game other than the final score, but
that dunk's gonna hype them up. It's gonna hype them up for the next game. Nah, it's probably not.
No, it's, the next CT, it'll be a Breach CTF, so we've seen them, what they can do on Breach Hardpoint, maybe Breach CTF, one that's a little bit, close quarter. They're able to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they're able to make something happen on the offensive end, but I think this is Game 5 written all over it.
No, I agree with you. It certainly looks that way, but let's toss it over to Jack and John to break down that uplink on Infection.
It was kind of funny. I turned to you and I said, this series is going to Game 5. And not 2 seconds later, Mr. X goes, this series is definitely going to Game 5. I think that is the vibe we all have from this one. Obviously, Complexity taking that one home. Clint mentioned the tweet of, how badly 100 Thieves has been outscored so far in Uplink. I think now, after that game, in the 6 matches they've played, they've been outscored, I believe it's 63-25 right now, if my math is correct.
Yeah, that's not good.
63-27 after that last 2-point dunk.
It's not good.
That is definitely not good at all. 100 Thieves struggles continue, and now Complexity, they've gotten a footing in this series. They're able to begin to push towards this Game 5. Yes, they got 6-0 in Game 2, but it's definitely still possible that they can end the series with a W.
Yeah, that was a good way for Complexity to rebound, plus going into the next map, Breach CTF. How many times have we seen Ricky go off on this specific map and mode? I mean, the guy is just a lord when it comes to CTF, so it's definitely looking bad for 100 Thieves, and I agree with your guys' thoughts. I think it's going to go to Game 5.
I mean, I don't think Complexity could have asked for a better map draw from what we've seen so far from Ricky on this map prior, back in Stage 2. Had the best individual performance for me of anybody in Stage 1 with his 16 kill streak. He went on like 5 flag captures on Breach when Overclock and Overdrive were available. Here's a look at some of the highlights from that last map, though, and as we talked about it, Revan, it seemed like every single time you thought 100 Thieves were going to push up on the map, they just didn't.
Well, I mean, you have the ARs from Complexity all set up, ready to go, ready to drill them and take them off the map. What I think 100 Thieves were missing were some smoke grenades. I really felt like that could have aided them, which is, making things a bit more chaotic, giving them the cover they needed to get those 1-point shots off. I mean, obviously where Complexity win this game is, when they're presented an opportunity to score, they capitalize on that. They hit their 1-point shots. They're getting, a dunk there from Goonjar you just saw in the highlights. But when it came for 100 Thieves to start getting some points, you saw that missed throw there over Church. You saw examples in the same spot, wasn't even able to get the drone off his hands. So I definitely think if they revisit this map, I want to see them introduce some smoke grenades into their game.
I think we saw maybe 4 or 5 Snow Street pushes from Complexity. able to score off a couple of them, helped keep increasing that lead. The big one for me was the dagger that made the score 6-1 at the end. It went from a 2-possession game, which, hey, you know, one good rally, some good use specialists. You could definitely get 2 dunks in. They get that 1-point toss, makes it 6-1. That's where it put it out of reach. So, 100 Thieves, they win the first hard point. They're able to get the last 2 hills. They take it 250 to 191. The floor with Complexity, win that one 6-0. Now Complexity, they show some life. Uplink, beat CTF the map. We saw stock was available for Complexity that last game. In my opinion, I think that's still the first targeted ban and protect from both these two teams.
Oh, for sure. I think mainly you're banning stock now to target the SMG players, make them a little bit less mobile around certain parts of the map. And that's definitely going to be the first contested attachment going in these bans and protects. I hear the countdown starting. We're about to enter, and really it's going to be a race who could ban it or protect it first.
Definitely, as well as the tacticals. Where do they wind up going on a map like this? Also with how good they are in search and in CTF. Obviously, you get a stun on the flag carrier, slow them down just a little bit. Definitely something that is still possible. Overclock potentially, something that will be heavily contested. Don't expect Overdrive to make it through. 100 Thieves, we talk so much about the homework that's been done. Do they know the setup that Complexity like to have in CTF? In your opinion, with Gunjar now on this team, how much has the gameplay changed? What role does he fill and capture the flag for this lineup?
I mean, I still feel like Gunjar can take out the SMG at times, but I feel like he's kind of reluctant to do so just because he's been mainly using an AR for, the past, year and a half. So I definitely think he has it in him, and I would like to see him do that because when we saw Parasite on this team, Parasite was more than willing to switch between both and use the SMG from time to time. When they need to bring out an AR, Parasite would be the one to switch to the AR. I think you need Gunjar to be a bit more versatile on this team.
It looks like Ricky is more the one that is more than willing to swap between the AR, SMG whenever it's needed.
Which is fine. You just need someone else to help.
Absolutely. Wondering how that comes into play now on Breach CTF. We've seen how much Nameless has absolutely shredded today with the AR, with the Man of War. Man of War on this map. Talk about a solid map to have that gun on. Wondering if 100 Thieves put a lot of pressure on that gun as well.
Also, the Shiva as well. Maybe you'll see Complexity target that. You saw Johnny have a big impact with Shiva already so far. But,
scary stuff.
When I'm constructing a team and you try to compare, the roles on the team, this is how I usually approach it. You have, one dedicated AR for Complexity that's going to be Nameless. A dedicated SMG, that'll be Miracles. And then you want 2 guys that'll switch it up. That could, do work with the AR, but also switch to the sub when you need that extra aggression just because the way some of the maps play out, sometimes you'll want more SMGs, sometimes you want more ARs, of course. So I definitely think the talent is there for Complexity, but it's just not coming together yet.
Yeah, it's definitely one interesting thing about the ban and protect this is that there's so many variables, especially with Complexity and 100 Thieves, because of their mindset when they go into the ban and protect phase. They're always looking for a way to give them an advantage to catch their opponents off guard. One big one I believe we saw yesterday where 100 Thieves protected Blast Suppressor. Was that?
I think that was Cloud9 that did it.
Cloud9 wound up doing it. Either way, though, I think a Blast Suppressor, a Blast Suppressor Protect is something that's definitely very possible. Afterburner Protect as well is something that you might see these teams bring out on CTF here. Blast Suppressor mainly so that you can get around the map a little bit more sneaky. We talk about how Nelson has played that role before for 100 Thieves because they struggle
Ricky
so
as well for Complexity.
They struggle so much in the slaying department. Well, how do you try to balance that out? Get some lucky pulls. Maybe you get a couple good kills middle map. If you already have the flag pulled, you can go on a good route. Might get a flag in for your team, catch your opponents off guard. We are just waiting for a couple players to get back into the lobby. Had to do a quick reset there, and we should be right into game number 4. Guys, be sure, stay involved with the conversation on Twitter. Been reading a lot of people's thoughts so far today. People impressed with Nameless's AR. A lot of people very excited to see how this team winds up performing after more weeks of practice with Gunjar on their team. But at the same time, people have been vocal. They've been letting them down so far. Complexity obviously struggling in that game too, 6-0. That is not something I think I've ever seen from this Complexity lineup before in Search and Destroy.
I mean, one thing we could take away from Stage 1 is you don't want to have a slow start to the league, right? You don't want to dig yourself a hole early on. Sure, teams like H2K, they've been able to bring themselves out of the hole, but they went right back, and Gunjar is going to get that protect on the stock early on.
But it looks like Johnny didn't even go after it. He had that rapid-fire band at almost the exact same moment, so it looks like 100 Thieves have elected to kind of put less focus on that one. Miracles goes after the overdrive right away. Do not want to have that special stability in play.
So I was counting up the bans and protects I expected to see. There's only wiggle room for one thing. I expected, overdrive, camo to go, rapid fire, high cal, protect on the stock, but something targeting the stock. The Shiva should go as well, and I'm not sure if there's not even room to attack the tacticals, so sure, some things are going to make it through here.
We've seen how Johnny's role in this team is more the guy who's in charge of watching over those long lanes, You think this map is it best for a Shiva? It can definitely be useful to lock down top middle. Don't
when
get
we go in the map overlay, I'll show you where you can make a Shiva work.
Don't get it twisted. The Shiva is absolutely still very strong on a map like Breach CTF. Nelson and Nameless, the final two up now in the Banner Protect. Nelson goes with kinetic armor and an HC to finish things out. So one thing to point out, flashbangs, concussions, both grenades stay
Shiva.
in. Shiva makes it through as well. Expect Semtexes to definitely be used on this map. You know, hey, you're hitting that middle wall run. I toss a Semtex right at the middle area of the wall.
How many times have we seen that? Yeah.
Beautiful way to cut off a lane.
Also, so many returns coming from somebody getting naded as they hit the connector wall runs.
Yep, and then the flag drops right off the map. Kills two birds with one stone, or grenade in this fact. Well, that was a terrible joke. Miracles now goes with Heatwave. It's Tempest from Royalty.
Mr. X and Maven are looking at each other and just shaking their heads.
It's fine. They don't need to understand. I get what I was saying. Psychosis now from Ricky. Examples goes with Vision Pulse. So finally Vision Pulse being shown some love. And now Nameless to finish things out. Does he go with the second weapon?
Maybe. I think that might be the go-to here. I mean, Heatwave, obviously the big specialist make it through. And he will go for a Vision Pulse as well. And listen, X and I are a big fan of Vision Pulse. I think if you couple that with maybe like a well-placed smoke grenade, you pop the Vision Pulse, you get just a wealth of information. You're worried about somebody sneaking through, you're coming off a respawn, you got maybe like a unanticipated spawn, you spawn out a little bit, you pop your Vision Pulse, oh, there's a guy on my base, I need to rotate back. I think Vision Pulse is just...
Alright, well guys, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I will have another one come out for you to show the other three maybe, and I'll see you guys later.